Hello and welcome to this training video on West Coast Informatics SNOMED CT database load script utility. To obtain and use this tool, go to westcoastinformatics.com and click on our resources section. Scroll down to DB load scripts. You'll find four options here for the International Edition or US Edition of SNOMED CT and for Oracle or MySQL. Each of these packages supports loading either RF1 or RF2 data files into a MySQL or Oracle database. These scripts are updated and tested with each release of the International Edition and with the US Edition, so they should be current if you come here to download them. So for this demo, we're going to use the MySQL database load scripts for the International Edition, and we're going to load RF2. So the first thing is to download this file. It's a zip file. We'll save it to a local folder on the machine. And then we'll go take a look at what's in there. Opening this up, you'll see there's files for loading into RF1, files for loading into RF2, and then these three text files. Whether you download the MySQL or Oracle versions, the same structure is here, and all of the scripts are packaged into these folders exactly like they are for this tool. This is an Apache 2 licensed product, so you're welcome to use it, distribute it, build upon it, or whatever you like free of charge. There's a README file that has a link to where we went to download this package, some information about this package specifically, and a link to the GitHub project where this code is hosted. You're welcome to go clone this repository and take a look for yourself. And finally, there's a how-to file, which takes you through the series of steps needed to load a release of SNOMED into either an Oracle or RF1 database. The process is pretty simple. You download the International or US Edition data files, you unzip that package into a local folder, then you unzip the installer scripts and put them into the corresponding RF1 or RF2 folder. You edit the script to set the configuration variables to match your environment, and then you run it. There are scripts for both Windows and Linux environments. Okay, so the first step in the how-to is to download the data. So we'll come here. This is the website, the NLM host for accessing either international or US edition data. We're going to download the RF2 for this demo. So we'll save it in the same folder where we put the scripts just to keep everything clean. This takes a little while, so I will be back when it finishes downloading. Okay, this SNOMED RF2 data is now downloaded. So the next step is to extract the data file, which produces, of course, a directory with snapshot, full, and delta. Takes about 10 seconds. Once this is ready, we will extract the RF2 scripts from this tool bundle into the folder where they go. And for both RF1 and RF2, you basically extract the contents of the tool's RF1 or RF2 folder into the top level folder of the distribution. So here we now have an RF2 directory that contains the RF2 files themselves. So we'll come here and go to this RF2 directory, and then basically we want to copy all of these files into this RF2 folder. Then you can come in and see. So the snapshot is what's going to get loaded. These files reference the snapshot folder specifically, as well as the versions of the file names inside. So you need to make sure to run this from within this directory. The next step is to edit the script. There's 4 configuration settings at the top. You'll see right here. It's where MySQL is installed, who is the user, what is the password for the user, and what database we're using. This database has to have been previously created, and in this case it's a MySQL database. So there we go, it's configured. You can see here there's both a Linux shell script version of the script as well as a Windows version, bat script. And if you look at this one too, you'll see that it has the same configuration settings at the top. This will most likely be a path more like user bin or something. Okay, so here we're going to run the script. And this process takes a little while, so I'm going to pause it again and I'll be back when it finishes running. Okay, so load script has finished running. And pauses here at the end. We can close this and you can review the log in this mysql.log file. If you ran the Oracle version, there would be a file called oracle.log. This log file takes you through the steps along the way, each of the tables that gets created and loaded, and the views that get created and everything. And if you go all the way to the bottom, you expect to see completed without errors. This is how you know that it finished fine and that it's ready to use. So with that, the database is actually populated with the snapshot RF2 data from this release of SNOMED. So we'll go take a look at that, the MySQL workbench here. Okay, so we'll look in our database SNOMED, which is where we've loaded this RF2 data. If you look at the tables, you'll see that the table names correspond with the file names from RF2. So for example, here, if we go to snapshot terminology, the concept file, there's a portion of the file name called concept. This is sort of the type of data in this file. There's description, identifier, relationship, stated relationship, text definition. Each of these things will be table names. So concept, description, and then just to show you double one, text definition. That's the naming convention, and all of the tables correspond with the file names in that way. So here we can take a look at concept, and you can see it has essentially the RF2 fields as they exist and are labeled in RF2, but rendered here as database columns. This is just a straight loading of the data from the files into the tables. There's a couple other extras that we've put into this system. One, the preferred name of each concept is computed. So you can see here for this concept ID, this is the preferred name and this is its description ID. The US English language ref set is used by default for this, although it could be changed if you wanted it to be. Once we have the preferred names of each concept, then what we can do is create views of the original tables where all of the concept ID fields have been denormalized with the preferred name of those concepts. So here is a second rendering of the concept table where we have the ID name, which is the preferred ID of the concept. And then here with module ID and definition status ID, you can see we've included a name. So the module name or the definition status name. This makes it a lot more easy with just a pure database to look at and understand what's going on with the data. And to show you a better example of that, just consider the relationships table. So here we have the source ID and destination ID, but we also have the names. So you can tell this origin of a kidney is related to origin in the following way, ISA, so it's a child relationship. And if you were to look through here, you'd see all the various different names. So that's the basic idea. The tables are all either straight loads of the RF2 files, or they're versions of those things with the names of all of the concept ID fields denormalized. Now, separately from this, I took the time to also load a database from RF1. The process is essentially the same, but the database looks a little bit different. So if we use this database and look at the tables, you can see here that the names are a little different. So concepts instead of concept. And again, that's because these are based on the actual file names from RF1. So, and the columns here will match the columns of RF1. So you can see concept ID, concept status, fully specified name, etc. So again, there are tables that correspond exactly with the files of RF1. Then here we also have a table that computes the preferred name of all the concepts. In some cases, you'll see null as a description ID and the preferred name, no active preferred name. This occurs in cases where a concept ID has been retired, as have its descriptions, and there is no longer an active preferred name for this concept in RF1. This has to do a little bit with the differences in how RF1 and RF2 represent description, status, and preferred names. However, if you come look at concepts, you get the idea. Wherever there's an ID, there's also a name. So here you get the preferred name of the concept, which kind of goes along. This fully specified name field is already in the concept table in RF1. And if you come look at the relationships, you'll see what you saw in RF2, which is we have both the concept ID and its name, the relationship and its name, and the destination concept and its name. So it enables you to easily tell which the relationships are, what the actual concepts are, without having to figure out all the messy IDs. That's basically it. You just run the script. In the RF1 world, it works basically the same way. You take let's say this were an RF1 directory, you would take these RF1 files and copy them into the RF1 directory and run this, edit the configuration settings and run the script in exactly the same way. And all of that is the same as well if you're using the Oracle versions of the scripts. There are just more files because Oracle uses SQL loader control files and some other things. If you have any questions about any of this, or feedback or suggestions, feel free to email at info@westcoastinformatics.com. I'd be happy to hear any feedback you have and suggestions. Thank you.